Today we're going to talk about eye-bolt installation onto a vehicle for a camper. First thing you want to do is you want to measure, make sure the camper is going to fit the truck and there's not going to be any problems there. So the first measurement you want to take is the bottom of the camper to this lip right here, and this one's about 23 inches or so. Then you come over here and make sure you've got the clearance on the truck rail, and this one's at like 21, so there's 2 inches of clearance there, so no worries. You want a good ½ inch clearance minimum probably. The next measurement you want to get is you want to make sure that the cab of the truck fits over the roof of the camper. So you measure the bottom of the floor to the end of the camper, and it's about 46.5. So you come over here and make sure you've got that clearance over the cab of the truck. And this one's about 43. So there's going to be 3 inches from this to the truck. So just one other thing, just be careful. Some trucks have stuff up on the top that you've got to make sure you measure the highest point of the cab of the truck so that it's not going to bump up into here. So once you know it's going to fit the truck, you're going to want to try to get some measurements for your eye bolts. Ideally, you want the eye bolts on the truck to pull in 6 inches forward, 6 inches backwards. That locks the camper into place when you go to put the turnbuckles on. So to do that, you want to come over to your camper and find out where your tie-down part is here. And then you want to measure your bumper. This one's got a 4-inch bumper. Some campers have 3-inch bumpers. The really old campers, some of them don't have any bumpers at all. So, measure your bumper, the end of your bumper. Like I said, this one's 4 inches. So you go 4 inches from here to the end of to this spot, and that's 18 inches. So we're going to want to put the front eye bolts at 12 inches. That's 6 inches forward. To measure to the back, you do the same thing. 4 inches for your bumper. Measure all the way to the back part of this camper. And on this one, this spot here, 60 inches. So what we do is we come back 2 inches. Like I said, ideally it's 6 inches, but from this point to this point is actually 6 inches. But you can't put the eye bolts that far back because the eye bolt's going to hit this part of the camper. So on this particular camper, we're not going to get a 6-inch pull backwards, but we'll get about a 4.5 inch pull. So like I said, you measure your 4-inch bumper. This one, the end of this camper measures 60 inches. We go back 2 inches, it's at 58 inches. And that's where our eye bolts will be in the back. Then you're going to come over to the truck. Lay out your tape measure on the so this is what's going to be in the top in the bed of the truck. Basically, that's your eye bolt with a big fender washer. So, like I said, 12 inches is my spot on the front. So I take my washer, put it at 12 inches, and you want to be as far to the sidewall as you can. You don't want it out here because the camper would hit the eye bolt. So we're going to back it up to about there, right at 12 inches. We'll leave that for like right there for now. And then on the back, our back is 60 inches. That's the end of the camper. We go back 2 inches to 58. So we want our eye bolt to be at 58. Right? So there's 58. And again, get your fender washer and your eye bolt as close to the sidewall as possible. One other thing you want to make sure you try and do is, if you can at all possible, is put it on the low end of the rail. Because when you tighten it from below, if it's on the top up here, it has a tendency to crush this rail. So you want to put it on the low, always try to get it on the low end. If you can't get away with it that far over, you could put it in here as long as it's not sticking past the wheel well. Because if this is past the wheel well, you know, obviously the camper is going to hit the eye bolt. But on this particular truck, we want to go if at all possible, always go as close to the sidewall as possible. So, like I said, 58 is where we want to be. So that's at 58. One other thing about before you drill any holes in the bed of your truck, like I put my fender washers in place where I know they're going to be. Measure from the back of this to where your hole's going to be. This is about 19 inches. We know the very front's 12 inches from the front. So then you're going to want to go up underneath the truck and make sure there's no obstacles down there. You know, sometimes you have a frame that's in the way. In the front, you got to be real careful of gas lines. So you want to make sure before you drill any holes that you go up underneath and make sure you're going to be in a good clear spot to do that. Okay, so this is the finished product on the eye bolt installation. On this particular truck, due to some obstacles underneath the truck by the gas lines and stuff, we had to move the front eye bolts about 2 inches forward, which is okay. On the front eye bolts, if you have to move anything due to obstacles, you want to move the front eye bolts forward. All that does is just add more canter in the turnbuckle to the front. If you do that, sometimes you have to add a quick link to the eye bolt because the turnbuckle won't quite reach. The backs were fine where they were at. One other thing on the eye bolt installation is you want to, when you tighten them down, you want to kind of turn them a little bit sideways towards the camper, because then when the turnbuckle hooks up, it's a better pull, it's a stronger pull. So that's the finished product. Okay, so one more thing on the eye bolt installation is in most cases you can use the 2-inch forged eye bolts because it just goes through basically the bed of the truck with the plates on the bottom of the washers. In some cases, if you have to drill through the frame of the truck, the frame is about 3 inches, so you have to drill through the middle of the frame. If you drill through the middle of the frame, you hit the center of the frame, you have to use the longer forged eye bolts, which are 4.5 inch. So this is what the longer forged eye bolt looks like. And that would just be, you know, every truck and camper is different, like we said, but if you had to, if the placement was right next to the frame where you could move it forward into the center of the frame of the truck, you'd want to use the longer eye bolts with the plate on the bottom, and that would be the same. Okay?